Welcome to GraceFully Educated Podcast. This is a place where we blend faith, wisdom, and learning with grace. I'm your host, Carmela Carter, and I am thrilled, honored, and super excited to be sitting with the Hollie Whaley. Let's give her some cheers! Yay, Hollie! So I want to start off with how we met.
Yes.
Hollie and I met years ago, maybe like, I don't know, let's just say it was some years,
Yeah,
okay?
let's don't say how long.
Years ago, and she was actually one of my family's ministers, where she would minister to my family. And then as time went on, we built a relationship over candles, and from there she became my pastor. And so I'm like, well, my prophetess, she's the prophetess of the house, and her husband is Apostle Keith. And it has been an amazing time serving with them. But I thought that she had to come on to the podcast because her story of education is unconventional that led to conventional education. And so while it may seem different, watch how much she break this thing down, y'all. So, Hollie, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
No problem. So, how did you get into education?
Well, it's really funny because I always thought growing up I would be a teacher, that I would be an educator. Yes. And then I think I realized we don't pay them enough. And so
And that's a fact.
So then I decided to take another, little detour. But I really, honestly, I remember being a little girl and all my toys, I'd set them up. I would teach my stuffed animals, right? I was a teacher and I would teach them whatever. I mean, I would just have fun teaching. And I had a chalkboard, and my mom went to the store where they sold all the school supplies and bought me a grade book, and I do grades. I mean, I did it all, right? I wanted to be an educator. And then when life happens and you go through school, and now I don't really know what I want to do. I mean, I went through all the different things, and I started working out of necessity, not necessarily because I wanted to, but out of necessity, I started working, and I found that I loved business. So then I went back to school and got my education, my undergrad and graduate in business management and global business. And so then I thought, well, there goes education.
So you think.
Right.
So you think.
That was what I thought. But what I ultimately, all throughout my career in business, I wanted to get in the L&D space. So education never left me. There was always something. And so I would find ways to educate. So I would do educational seminars in business, right? I would work in the L&D department. If they needed extra trainers, they would
L&D is
learning and development.
Learning and development. Okay.
Yeah, so learning and development within corporations.
Okay.
And so they would call me in to do workshops, train certain things. They would send me on assignments to go and do training of hundreds of people at a time. And I just enjoyed it. So while that wasn't technically my job, they would pull me in a lot.
Wow.
And I just realized, even as I'm talking, that gift was in operation in my life forever.
Wow.
And it truly is a gift, because a lot of people, it just was natural for me to educate other people, to create spaces where people could learn and feel comfortable learning. And so that's really kind of how I got on that road. And then I decided that I was exhausted in corporate. I was tired in corporate, and I wanted to start my own business. And when COVID happened, a lot of things transpired within the I worked in the travel arena, and so everything shut down. We're furloughing people, laying people off. It just became very evident to me that I needed to do something else. And so I decided to start a business, something I had not really thought about. I mean, I'd always wanted to do that, but it just it was time. And in it, now I train entrepreneurs. So I love that. So I get to the opportunity to help entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs through educating them on business. So I got to take my love for business and add it to a curriculum, and really building out curriculum for aspiring entrepreneurs. And then I coach them through the development of their business.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that's led to also now working in conventional education,
Wow.
doing, as a professor at a university. So it's really exciting to see how God has just taken that and moved it along my course.
Wow. What a story. So you go from as a child, like this is what you know what, it's funny because as a child I love to play teacher as well. I was to be like, I'm the teacher,
Yes.
and I always wanted to. And one of my other friends, she loved to play family, but for me, I didn't really care to play family. I wanted to play teacher, and so I was always a teacher. And it's just so funny how God will plant that seed as a child, and
Yes.
then the seed just grows and
Yes.
it grows and it grows, and it may not show up the way we expected it. Like you thought, I'll be
Right.
going into education, but now you are training. First of all, leaders in business.
Yep.
On how to do it better.
Right.
What an amazing journey. So along this journey, at what point did you feel, you know what? I have what it takes to train. And the reason I'm asking this question because sometimes people who are watching may say, I'm stuck in this position, right? But there's something in me that I feel like I can do more. And so you were doing leadership development, but there was something in you said, I can do more, and I can do more than leadership development. I can write a book, plug it, and we're going to talk about this book in a second, and I can share this business with others. Like, how did that happen?
So I think for me, it was all of the times I was dissatisfied, right? So there were things that fueled me within my current position. There were things that I enjoyed, the people. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed bringing just key learnings to them, helping them develop their skills, which is really what an educator does, right?
Exactly.
It helps not just giving information, but really creating space where they can develop the skill sets that they need. And so during that specific time within COVID, I had to really do an evaluation and say to myself, what is it that I enjoy doing, really, really enjoy doing? And what is it that I do because I have to? It's just part of my job.
Wow.
And I want to work not in the have to space, but in the space where I come alive, where I feel alive, and where I can impact other people. And I found, because even before then, I would educate in the Christian arena in church, right? So I would teach Bible classes and things at the seminary. So I was doing the work and I knew what fueled me. And really giving people the information and watching them grow fueled me.
Wow.
And I said, so where can I do that? And when it's not available because corporate America is shutting down because of COVID, right? Schools are shut down. Now, I will say, I applaud all of the educators that are teaching our children, because during COVID, I found that was not my forte. When I had a child online and I was like, oh, I can't do this. This is not for me. Right. I mean, he was like 5th grade and I'm like, oh, this is just not good. This is not for me. So kudos to all of the educators that teach our children. And I think that, just really finding that thing that fuels you. What is it that makes you happy? And you have to really sit with yourself and do some self-reflection, because we teach ourselves that the things that we do make us happy, but it's really not in the doing. Like, what's the result that you want to see that brings you joy?
Gotcha.
And for me, that's seeing other people grow into the spaces and places they need to be.
Wow, that's so awesome. So you're teaching our adults how to thrive in business. If we had, because the people, we don't know who's going to watch this, but we have an educator who's watching it, and they're like, how do you think that they can pull out what's inside of them, right? Because I heard you say a lot about that, pull out what brings you joy. How do they introspect and say, this part brings me joy? Like, for instance, I'll say I'm an educator. I've been an educator for 20 years, right? And a part of my education journey, I've been a culture leader. So culture leading brings me joy. So I'll stop there because I don't want to teach it. I want you to teach it. So how do you pull out that one thing to make multiple streams of income?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think really there are a few things. For me, it was easier to identify the things I didn't like.
Gotcha.
versus the things I liked, right? So it was almost like making a list just for simplicity's sake, right? Making a list and saying, oh, I hate doing that. I hate doing that. I hate doing that. I hate doing that. No, I mean, I can do that, but I don't like it. And then getting to the point where it's like, oh, these are the 5 things that I really, really enjoy doing. And then sitting with those things and saying, why do I enjoy doing them? What do I get from that? What's the sense, right? Like, how does it make me feel? How does it make me, does it increase my motivation? Does it give me motivation? Does it fuel what's inside of me? And one thing that I learned, because we talk a lot, particularly in my space, about self-care and everything that you do, right? Like, what is self-care? And for a lot of people, that's getting their nails done, getting a massage. And for me, that's just another appointment. Wow. That wasn't self-care. Wow. It was almost like, oh, I gotta go get my nails done. Wow. Right? I gotta go get a massage. And not that those are bad things, because they're very good things, right? And maybe it was just the hustle of my work schedule that it just felt like another appointment. But when I would sit, I would say, what really do I get excited about doing? Wow. That can be self-care for me. And one of the things was learning. And so I said, I want to go and I want to educate myself in this space and in this space and in this space and learn. And when I'm learning, I'm growing, and that's self-care for me. And so then I thought, why is that so important? Right? Like, why is it so important that I am essentially feeding myself knowledge? Well, that's because I love to give that to other people. And I can't give from an empty cup. And so then I had to sit with that and go, that's interesting. Okay, so I like to fuel this part of me, but I also like to fuel that part of other people. And so I think you start narrowing it down and you realize, like, wow, this is really what I like. So I knew I enjoyed leading people. And I knew I was good at it. And I did it very different than other people. So for me, I was like, okay, that's a plus for me. I also enjoyed learning personally. And I loved being able to share information with people. And then I said, I think it's just that gift comes up inside of you again. And you go, yes, I want to marry all of this together. Right. And I want to lead leaders and train leaders and help people cultivate what's inside of them. Wow. To get them to that place. Because the reality is most of us are not happy where we're at. Yeah. Or in our jobs. Yeah. Right? And so how do you stay motivated in the place that you're called to do?
So I heard so many good points, and I hope Holy Spirit keep them in my mind. But one thing you said, that so many people are unhappy in the place that was the last point that you made, right? So many people are unhappy. And right now we have a lot of educators that's teaching young kids. I'm not talking about the adult educators, but like the young K through 12 educators that are unhappy. But something you spoke about that made you happy doing what you do as a leader is self-care. Yeah. But then you talked about self-care in an unconventional way, which was self-care of learning. I love to feed my mind. And I don't know about y'all, this is the first time I heard self-care in that nature. Wow. In that way, right? So I always heard of self-care, like you said, your nails done, your toes done. And honestly, that's another bill. Yes. That's another appointment. And it can be exhausting, right? And no knockoff to people who they consider that as self-care. But for me, I found self-care is learning as well, but also crafting. I'm a crafter, right? So to me, that's self-care. But people, even a therapist one time said, but that's not really resting. And I will be like, but it is, because I enjoy it. Yes. This is something that I am like, the world is gone and it's just me and the book, or it's just me and the craft or the hot glue. Wow. So as educators, I want you guys to really take a page from that book and really say, what is fueling me? Because then her self-care became a business. Right. So let's talk about this book. And then we'll talk about the other point that I thought about.
So I think what happens, right, when you're an educator is that you realize whatever you're doing, you want to make it easier for other people. And you don't want them to have to go through the same mistakes you did. Yes. So you're like, okay, let me make it easier for them. And so what I did is when I started my business, I did a lot of research. I looked a lot of things up. I had been in business, global business, for over 25 years. So there were certain things that I knew based on my business experience that I said, okay, I'm going to start this business. And So I then began to say, what are kind of the steps you need to go through, and how do you get to the place before you even launch? And I think one of the disadvantages that we sometimes forget is that there's always a process. And we want to jump to the cute things, right? Like, I want to jump to the cute logo. I want to jump to, putting it out there on social media. This is what I'm doing, and not having the foundational components.
Right.
And we see this a lot in church too, not having the foundation to then build from.
Right.
And so you need the foundation. Without the foundation, it will crumble over time.
Yep.
And so it may look good initially. You may go 1-2 years, but over time, as you begin to build and really grow, if there's not a foundation, it won't sustain. And so I began to say, okay, foundationally, how do I build this business? What does it look like? How do I do it? And first of all, I was already doing it. So it wasn't a matter of I wasn't doing the business. I just happened to be doing it for free. Right. So
right.
I had been practicing. So I opened a coaching business, and I coach people all the time. Right. But at the time it was for free. And so when I began to do this, right, I said, oh, wait a minute. This is going to be a livelihood for my family. I never thought about writing a book. That was not on the radar. But as I began to step out into what I needed to do and how to build it and all of those things, I started having people come to me, and where they wanted me to help them was with business. And I said, I want to help your life. I don't want business. I want to be a life coach. We're just straight doing life. And customer after client said, I want you to help me with my business. And remember, it's in the middle of COVID. So some businesses needed to know how to pivot.
Yeah.
And some wanted to say, now's the time for me to start a business because I'm not doing anything, right? I've been laid off, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I said, oh, okay. So I started coaching in that, and I began to see where some of the gaps were within the businesses. And so I said, I'm going to write a book. And actually, I didn't even say I was going to write a book. I said, I'm going to train people on how to design, build, and launch their business. And so really, I designed a curriculum.
Wow.
Before even writing the book. So I kind of did things backwards, right? I just started training people again because the education and educator in me said, people need to know this knowledge. We got to get it out there. So I began to walk people through that aspect of it. And then I was like, wow, this could be a book. If people don't want to pay for the education of it, they can read it. And at least the information is out there with people. So I designed a program where it would help you design, build, and launch your business, looking at the foundational components. So we go through, the whole design phase. What does it look like? What's your vision? What's your mission? Your why? Because if you don't have that foundational, by the time you get to the launch phase, you're ready to give up, and then people's dreams die.
Yep.
They're not sustained because there wasn't a foundation. And so we just kind of walk through that. We go through, do you LLC? Do you sole proprietor? When is it time to S Corp?
Right.
What type of insurance do you need? Really diving into the business piece that most people don't think about when they start a business.
Right.
And then we get to the fun stuff, the marketing, the sales, the pretty logos, the websites, all of that in order to launch the business and get the word out. And then I do coaching after that to help them sustain and build their business.
Wow. So this is a whole educational tool.
Yes.
That you can use to launch a business.
Yes.
And then you can have one-on-one training on your business with Hollie.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're going to talk about something different, but just tell them real quick how to get in touch with you.
Yes. So you can reach me at www.holliewhaley.com, which is HOLLIE and WHALEY. .com. All the information is there, the training programs, the coaching, all of the different aspects.
And so I will definitely, it's probably on the screen already.
Yes.
It's on the screen. So you've talked about the business aspect. Now I do know, because I've been a part of some of the classes, you also talked about what you did in seminary, where you taught different classes in the spiritual aspect. Could you talk more to that?
So, one thing that I truly believe is that we have created a lot of Christians, but not disciples. And so because of my background, I was offered opportunities to teach biblical classes. And one thing I found is that every time I would teach something, I grew. And again, it fueled that self-care in me. So every opportunity I had to go in and teach different curriculum, I really wanted to do that. So I've done a lot of New Testament training, doing training in the book of Acts, the epistles, different things like that to help undergird pastors. One thing that we've been doing within our church is we do a lot of apostolic training, prophetic training, bringing women alongside of us to learn about their giftings and who God's called them to be. And so for me, education intertwines in everything that we do. And I just said to my husband the other day, I really feel like we should have just called our church the Equipping Center, because that's what we do. We just equip people to really know the word of God for yourself first and foremost, because I think we regurgitate a lot of information without context. And so we need to really understand the word of God and be able to speak it from a place of true knowledge, not from just what we've learned because somebody told us that.
Wow.
So we've done that. We're getting ready. We are in preparation right now for a prophetic school, so that will be coming shortly. But we just really believe in educating in all aspects of our lives.
And I can agree. Just being a part of Arise Family Worship Center, it has been an honor to be educated by you guys. And we have something on Saturday mornings where you educate women. So you want to speak to that as well?
So we do on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. We have a Bible study where we dive into different topics, really helping women to identify. We talk about the things that a lot of Bible classes don't. I guess you could say we dive deep into hearing God, intercession, discernment. What does that look like? Not just from certain aspects that we hear in church, but diving into what God's word says about it, and then developing those things in one another. So we truly don't just give the information, but we activate it. We stretch people. We have people operate in that. So it's a lot of fun. We get together and we have anywhere from 25 to 30 women on a Saturday morning that truly gives up their time and says, I want to be there to grow in this area.
Yeah, I want to come and get educated.
Yes.
I want to come in and get equipped. Those are the things that I see that the women are doing.
Yeah.
So you've taught people how to do business. You taught people how to do the spiritual aspect.
Yes.
And now you are working as an educator in a university.
Yes.
So could you share more about that?
Yes. So that is actually something I've wanted to do for years and years and years. And I've often put in applications and tried to get in to different universities to educate and just be on their roster as one of the professors, and the doors just never opened. And in a season where I really needed it, but I wasn't looking for it in that particular aspect, God just opened a door for me. And now I'm teaching actually business. So I teach business management, which is something that I love because I love leading people. I love talking about managing projects and people and all of that. So I have now started teaching at the university, and I am enjoying it. It is just something that you get to a point where it's no longer about the money, it's about what's fueling you. And I feel like when you get to the point of what's fueling you, you're walking in purpose.
Right.
And God will meet the needs.
Right. Because He's the source.
Right.
Everything else is our resources.
Yes.
And whatever way He chooses to give us the resources, we just be like, thank you.
Yep. Absolutely.
But as long as we're doing kingdom work.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that God does it on purpose. Yeah. And everywhere we place our foot is an assignment for Him.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I walk in the room.
Right.
Is that this is an assignment from God to train on business, because now we're building the next business leaders.
Gotcha.
And, God, however you want to operate, we're here for it.
So if there was a biblical character, I'm kind of putting her on the spot. Like, I love to put my people on the spot. There's a biblical character that you had to say, you know what? As an educator, as a thought leader, as a woman of God, I feel like this is the person that I'm walking after.
That's so good.
Who would it have to be?
So there's two that come to mind.
Okay.
The first one is Deborah.
Okay. I hear you.
Because she was before her time, if you will, right? She operated as a judge
Uh-huh.
when women were not put in positions like that.
Okay.
She also was a prophet.
Yeah.
So, I align with her there. But she also was a mother figure. And she really, she educated people in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And so I resonate a lot with her.
Okay.
The other one that came to mind was Esther.
Okay. Okay.
And the reason Esther is because we don't often see her as a thought leader or a strategic leader, but she did something phenomenal. So one of the things she did is when Mordecai came to her and said, they're going to kill us. They're going to annihilate us.
Yeah.
And she was just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Right. And he was like, don't think that you'll survive this. Right.
That's what he said.
He said, you better figure out how you're going to help us in this situation.
Right.
And this woman said, go tell the people to fast and pray for 3 days. And I will do the same. And she went back in to the kingdom and she called all of her maidservants to fast and pray. These were not Jewish women.
Okay.
These were not what we would consider godly women, right?
Yeah,
These were not women that saw the faith the same as her. And yet she got them all to fast and pray for her cause. Come on.
Wow.
Tell me that is not
That's
a strategic leader
Yeah.
that people are saying, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I need to follow after that.
Yeah.
There was something about Esther, her grace, the way she provided the information, that she got everyone surrounding her to fast and pray, even though they didn't even serve the same God.
Wow.
They came in one mind and one accord. And then she was so strategic in how she did it. So then she goes before the king, right? We know the story. She goes before the king. He extends the scepter. Her life is spared. And at that moment, I would have been like, blah, right? Like, help. And she didn't. She kept her composure. She had a plan. And she worked her plan.
Wow.
And I said, God, that is so amazing that she had the wherewithal in the middle of this crisis to really work the plan you gave her.
Wow.
She invited him to dinner. Let's have dinner. Let's have a banquet, right?
She was strategic.
She was very strategic. She said, I'm going to smooth this over. I'm going to evaluate the situation. I'm going to not walk in and just make demands, or I'm going to get their hearts prepared for what is coming. And then she did that. Once everything is like flushed out, she doesn't stop there. She says, now he needs to go. And she worked the plan through to the end, where now Haman is now hung on the gallows that he had built from Mordecai. But it was her planning and her persistence in the plan that I'm just like, that is what a strategic leader does.
Wow.
She never aborted the mission. And I feel like I would hope I would do that, but there's a part of me that goes, I don't know. After that first banquet, I might have been like, look, here's the situation. I need help, right?
Yeah.
But she handled that all the way through.
With
so
grace. That's amazing. Yeah. I love those two, and I am sure that the people who can relate are like eating, because you just share a whole lot of good stuff. And I hate for this conversation to end. Oh my goodness. I love I've enjoyed this conversation with you. But if you had to leave some lasting words to the educators out there, whether adult educators, K through 12 educators, whoever we're out here teaching, I want you to look into the camera and leave some lasting words to our educators.
One thing I would say is really understand true self-care. What are you doing to fuel you? Because you can't fuel others on a dead battery. Ooh. So fuel yourselves so that you can fuel the next generation.
Wow. And that is the words of Hollie Whaley. Make sure you contact her for all of your educational, as far as spiritual educational, business education. And one thing that she did not mention, but they are leaders of leaders. Yes. So if you are a leader out there and you need a leader, definitely contact them as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us here at the GraceFully Educated podcast, where we definitely 100% learned with grace. We gained faith, we gained wisdom. I'm doing it all backwards, but it was all good, okay? We did it all. We had faith, wisdom, and learned with grace. Make sure you leave a comment for Hollie. Let her know how she has inspired you today. Have an amazing day and week on purpose. Bye.